Now, what if your business could be both a sanctuary for guests and a catalyst for community change? Now, in this episode, we're going to explore how aligning your brand with a deeper mission can drive real growth, foster loyalty, and make a lasting impact.
Welcome to Fordify Live with your host, Ford Saeks.
Joining me today is Allison Langenderfer. She's the founder and president of Spavia Day Spa. Allison co-founded Spavia in 2005 with a vision to provide affordable, luxury, and personalized wellness experiences. Now, under her leadership, Spavia has grown to over 60 locations across 23 states, all while maintaining a strong community presence, which is so important for the franchise industry. Now, we're live right now on Facebook and LinkedIn and a few other places, and we're going to dive deep into Allison's journey to not only this brand, but some of the new things that she's working on. Allison, welcome to Fordify Live.
Thank you so much for having me. Nice to meet you.
Well, I know that right when we talked about the green room, you said, hey, I just got done with our company training. So let's just start there. Tell the listeners today and the viewers a little bit about Spavia and some of the other brands that you're working with. And then let's talk about that training you just had.
Yeah, absolutely. It was owner's training. So we had 2 of our new locations come for training. But yeah, we're in our 20th year. We started September 25th of 2020. 2005. Isn't that crazy how all of a sudden the time goes by so fast? And it's been really an amazing journey. We started with the thought of having day spas in our community and serving our community in our neighborhoods, so that part of what we do, the memberships that we have, yes, it's a recurring revenue, but it's about the relationships that we build. It's about being involved in our communities and staying in touch with our communities. I think and to stay aligned with our mission and vision of making a positive difference in the world, one guest at a time, it starts in our communities. So that as we grow, the imprint to make a positive difference grows exponentially. So that has been really at the forefront of what we do every single day. And we teach the mission and vision and the culture to all of our owners so that they embrace that and teach that to their teams.
Well, I know that you also, I went to Perplexity and I said, hey, my next guest is Allison. Give me some research on her. So it's amazing what AI already knows about you and your brands. And you're an advocate for women's businesses and everything that, again, Marty and you, with you leading the founding and as the president of Spavia Day Spa. So for those of you listening, the audio track also becomes the Business Growth Show podcast. So if you're listening, we're talking to Allison Langenderfer. She's the founder and president of Spavia Day Spa, so spaviadayspa.com. You can check her out online and check out their business. And for the purposes of this presentation and this episode, this isn't an offer to solicit anything, but I do like to ask the CEOs a little bit about their opportunities and what they do. And so Allison does not know what I'm going to ask. And so full disclosure, We're live, so we're going to take this where it can go. So tell me a little bit about the challenges of growing. So you started this 20 years ago, you got to that, you're almost to that magic number, that 100. I know you've got some goals to exceed that number. What are some of the things that you know now that you wished you would have known when you started?
Wow. Well, there's a few things. I don't think I would do anything differently. I think in order to have a strong brand, you have to have failures, because with those failures are lessons. And with those lessons, you become stronger as a brand, no matter what you do or what company you're with. So I don't think I would do anything differently. I think that I always say it's a journey, not a race. I think that there are a lot of brands out there with an intention to franchise, that they just want to grow and then have private equity take over. And then your whole brand becomes very watered down and the core of your brand starts to lessen. So for both Marty and I, we're very hands-on. We have been since day one. I think it's very important to our growth. And if I were to have somebody come in and tell us how to run our business 20 years later, it would be very difficult. So I think anyone that is, again, looking back, I don't think there'd be anything that I would change. I was an owner of our first location in Park Meadows, which is in Centennial, Colorado. which is also our headquarters. I worked that one location for 17 years while we grew our brand. I think it's important as an owner of any business growth to understand your business, understand the day-to-day, understand, the climate. Things change. We survived a recession. We survived COVID without any closures. So there's a lot to be said about just the day-to-day operations and learning the business. So I wouldn't do anything differently. I think we were able to really understand who we were, build our cultures in a very significant way, and we know who we are, and we're leaders in the industry. So that for me is, the perfect world.
Well, congratulations on having an award-winning brand. You've won many awards for the work that you've done in the industry and also becoming a leader, which really helps you differentiate yourself in a crowded wellness industry. And like you said, in franchising, there's those two philosophies. Your philosophy, taking care of your franchisees, building strong systems, helping them grow, and really giving them the systems, just like the new onboarding training you had for those new franchisees. And then you've got those other people. And I've had them as a strategic consultant. I've been speaking now in franchising for 34 years. I'm an opening keynote speaker at a lot of the annual conferences. And what sets me apart is I'm a third-party endorsement for what the brand's trying to say, as well as helping them take personal accountability for their local area marketing, right? Because all franchisees say, well, we wish corporate would do more to drive business. And then the corporations go, look, we've given you the systems. You're not working the systems. You're not building your centers of influence. You're not creating relationships in the marketplace. All the marketing in the world won't overcome a poor customer experience. Look at how you're delivering the customer experience. So you are in the group of success versus those other brands that are really, I like to call them, for lack of a better term, just kind of a pump and dump. They're just trying to pump up the franchisees to get their numbers up, to go to private equity and then dump it. And along the way, it really creates a lot of brand damage and a lot of just the ripple effect throughout that. So we know that that's not what you have. And so can you share a story of community involvement that made a significant impact? Because you've got so many, it's probably going to be hard for you to think about which one, but you've been heavily involved in the communities that you're in and helping your franchisees. What are some of the ways that you do that?
Yeah, I want to touch on one thing first that you said, and that is, again, when you get bought out, I think it causes also a lot of disruption and guest confusion.
Yeah, it does. If a private equity group buys it out. Yes. Tell me more. Right.
And your guests have an expectation. We are here to provide an exceptional experience. We're here to provide something beyond what's expected. And when that gets broken, the loyalty of any brand falls apart very quickly. And so it's very important for both Marty and I to have a brand that has integrity, that has the consistency, that has the guest loyalty, and very involved in the franchisee world. Both Marty and I, like I said, are very involved. When it comes to community, we have a platform called Spavia Cares. And I think I'll share our very first engagement with our community. It was from day one. In fact, we weren't even open yet. We didn't have our CO. We were delayed, and we had partnered with a company non-for-profit called Bags of Fun. And it is an organization that was founded by a friend who lost her daughter to a brain tumor. And her daughter and my daughter went to school. And so she started an organization called Bags of Fun, whereby the children that are going through chemo are provided bags of fun. Because her daughter, when she was going through chemo, didn't have anything. They just sat there, and these are children. Right. So they have bags of fun, whether it's coloring books, games, just to keep them occupied while they're going through their treatment. So we didn't have our CO. We had all our tables in. I was crying with our contractor and said, I have parents of children who have cancer, and I'm trying to help them and have a spa treatment, and you're a week delayed. And so he said, okay, don't tell anybody, go ahead and do this. And so we hosted about 10 parents They all had massages or facials. And that was the beginning of, I mean, again, before day one, of giving back to our communities and being involved in our communities. So we would have the parents every month. The organization would send us a couple of parents whose children were going through chemo. We'd have them in for spa treatments every month. And then we found a lot of the parents, it was just so hard because they were being called away, or they'd have a sudden change, or something would happen with their child. And so we started taking care of the nurses and the doctors. And, you know, they're the ones that are also treating these children. So that was how it started. We've done so many Dolls for Daughters, food drives, animal shelter donations, women's shelter donations, you know, however we could give back to our communities that were giving so much back to us. So the platform grew, and as it grew, Spavia Cares every September makes a concerted effort. That's our anniversary month, where all of our locations participate. And it's what's important to them and their community. All the different things that they have done has just been phenomenal. And in addition, any vendor partner that we partner with, a big part of my ask is, what is your philanthropy? How do you give back? So that when we're growing our business, it's not only our communities, it's our vendor partners that are also participating and giving back to make a bigger imprint. This September is our 20th year, and we actually have it's still very top secret, but a little insight is a platinum facial. And we have partnered with one of our brand partners, Image Skincare. They will be giving 10% of the proceeds back to non-for-profit, as will we match the 10%. So all of that will be announced. It is a national effort, in addition to all of our community efforts in September. So we're very proud of our Spavia Cares campaign, very proud about, you know, what we do to make differences in people's lives every day.
Well, I can tell just from, you know, what we've already talked about on this episode and the research I've done that, you know, philanthropy is really important, giving back, caring. And I think that sets a really foundation for why you've been so successful with, you know, Spavia Day Spa and the brands. Now, I know you're also working on a couple new ventures. Anything publicly that you can share about those?
Yes, absolutely. Well, one has been around for, we're going on 3 years. We opened a massage school. It's called the St. Moritz Academy. We found in COVID and just in general, you know, a lot of students coming out of high school that college isn't necessarily their path. You know, it's a trade, whether it be a plumber, electrician, massage therapist. So we have graduated, I believe, over 30 students now. It's a huge passion of ours to continue to grow our industry and also teach with very strong work ethic and business ethics. So that's one. But our newest is Sway, and it's Sway by Spavia. We opened late February, and it is more for our urban markets. We have the first robotic massage called Escape in Colorado. If you haven't tried it, please come visit. I would love for you to try it. It's amazing. And then we have, it's more geared towards Gen Z and millennial, more of an open concept, more tech. We've got microcurrent, dermal flash, cupping. So very tech focused, but also very result driven. Everything that we do along with our brand partners, again, is to make a change in our urban markets. So we have suburban covered, we have urban covered, and it's, again, just all how we can really make a difference amongst any age.
Can't cut through the online chaos? This episode is powered by Ignite Visibility, the nation's expert in ROI-driven digital marketing. We help over 90 leading franchise brands and 2,500 locations outrank competitors and convert more customers. Ready to stand out and grow? Claim your free digital marketing audit at ignitevisibility.com. Ignite your growth.
Now, for those ideal clients, if you think about your current franchisees, is the goal for a current franchisee of Spavia Day Spa to maybe become a multi-brand unit, like a multi-unit owner, but even though it's a different market? Or do you feel like the franchisee area of expertise and style is completely different? So, or is it both?
I would say both. I think it depends on where the owner lives. So in Dallas, you could have a location in West Plano, but then have a sway in downtown urban Dallas, which, by the way, is coming to Dallas. So if anyone lives in Dallas, be on the lookout.
I'll be there next week, but for Pure Clean, I'm opening their keynote, but I don't think you'll be open then.
Oh, we'll be in our LOI stage. So we're very excited to have our second sway opening. But I think it just depends on the market and where that particular owner is. We do like our owners to live in the market that they serve. If we are making a difference in the communities that we live in, we find that the owners are more engaged and more involved. So very important for us. But yeah, I think it just depends on where they are. So the urban markets and the focus that we have, I think it will just depend on where they are. But so yes, essentially, yes, both.
Well, I think it's really great that, your brands are very congruent. I've worked with a lot of private equity groups and, sometimes they're just in home services or they're just in home care or senior care. And then you get the ones that have like a dozen different things. And I'm like, I don't know how that would work. It's not congruent. But what you're doing with your certification, your schools, and with what you're doing with the other brands is you found opportunities and you looked for ways to serve them in a very great way. And I also know that you're a big supporter of women-owned businesses too, and the different philanthropy things that you're doing with Spavia Care. So I just think that's amazing. Let's go into a different direction. Tell me.
Oh, I was going to say one thing. I said it's power to the she. So
power to the she.
Women movement. Right. We're mothers, we're entrepreneurs, philanthropists. So very important when women come into any group. I think they just move mountains. So
I think they do. Well, my whole staff is women, and it was interesting because not to just I had a complete brain fart here since it's my show. I can go there, but I had a consulting client a year and a half ago. It's high fee. My fees are not cheap. And so I worked with her for 6 months and, she really didn't take any action. She was one of those people who always tried to one up and tell me how much better. But instead of, look, you're asked for advice, I can lead you to water, but you kind of got to drink. I'm giving you congruent things. So it's interesting because, about 7 months later, she called up and she said, well, I just feel like, maybe you didn't help me because I was a woman. And I said, I don't know. I've been in business now. I'm 64. I've been in business, 50 years. I started my first business at 15. I've never had that conversation. And I said, did you know that 100% of my staff is woman owned because I believe they're smarter and more caring and they're more detail oriented. And I believe they lead better. Did you know that my wife is a woman owned business and she's got 3 businesses and I support her and she's my advisor? Do you know that on my council, they're all women? Now I know for those of you who might say, well, that's sexist or whatever. I just feel like whatever's going to give me the highest and best use of my time. And I've just found the perspectives, not that it's a man and woman thing, but I've really enjoyed those perspectives. So whenever anybody's a woman-owned business or when I get an opportunity to talk to a CEO of a founder, it just shows the communities out there the misperceptions of sometimes it's a third-party perception. And then there's reality. And the reality is you lead really successful businesses but just haven't had as much exposure to that.
Well, and I'm in that age group of you. And what I will say as a female, paving the way for the generations behind me, so much of when I was coming into the workforce, it was with the good old boys, is what
that's
we
what I mean.
Call it.
You're saying it more politely than I was. So yeah, I agree.
And so I had to really pave the way and hold my ground, Title IX and all the things. My daughter played collegiate soccer at Boston College, and I look at things and what could have not been for her if our generation didn't fight for what we knew we were so capable of. And I think that my college education at Cal Poly, it was in San Luis Obispo, the motto was learn by doing. And everything that I ever touched was, okay, well, let's try it. If I can't try it, right? There was always this mental awareness of, well, I'm going to try it. And if I fail, I fail, but I'm going to try it. And also never giving up on opportunities that came my way. Because if you give up on an opportunity, you potentially you set yourself up for a setback or a failure that you may never recover from if you don't try. So that's sort of I wish more people in general had that mindset. I think it's something that you have to wake up every day and have that mindset to take the opportunities, because you never know, it may not come. So
yeah, I agree. I've always believed that it's better to, and I think it was Teddy Roosevelt or somebody, I'm going to mess the quote up, but it was, I'd rather try than fail than do nothing and succeed. And as an entrepreneur, I've never gone bankrupt. I've had 17 different companies, 3 were 8 figures. I've written books. I've got patents. I've worked in every channel of distribution, retail, wholesale, mass merchant, specialty catalogs. I've been a franchisor. I've been a franchisee. I've worked in a lot of business environments. And then as the last 3 decades as a strategic advisor for brands, I've had the opportunity to sit in these billion-dollar companies all the way down to multi-million-dollar companies and listen to the smart people around the room. And if there's one thing I've learned, Allison, is the more I know, I don't know, right? So I'm very open-minded and coachable, but I really believe what you said is sage advice for our listeners is you need to fail fast, and failure is an opportunity for you to learn. And I always say, forget the mistake, learn the lesson. But if you never take that action, then it doesn't matter. And I always tell people, focus on what you can control, which is your attitude, which is your mindset, your allocation of time, how you spend your time. Are you spending your time on the most highest and best use of your time? And then your actions, right? You really need to look at what are you in control of. And then the hard pill that I've had to work with, not only in the mirror, but with some of my clients and brands, is, take 100% responsibility for everything in your life, your actions, your inactions, your decisions and results. And that if something's not working, ask better questions. And if you're asking the wrong question, the answer doesn't matter. So ask better questions and really be proactive in it. I know you're a continual learner. I know just for the fact that just by the things that you're saying and the giving back to the community and working with the other brands, what's really exciting for you as you look forward with the growth? What are some that you, again, she does not know what I'm going to ask everybody. So, don't share anything you can't share, but what's something on the forefront that might be really exciting to you in your companies?
Well, from a family perspective, our daughter joined a couple of years ago. She actually helped me with all the design, space plan, all the vendor, all the setup. So she is in the day-to-day in the weeds with Sway. So it's been really,
That's
they
cool.
grew up in the business. She graduated in 2020, worked in marketing for a few years, and then came on board. And I'm telling you, there's no looking back with that child. So it's been really exciting to see her growth and sort of that continuation of leadership within our business. I have 2 sons as well. One just got his MBA, graduated last weekend from Cornell. Very proud of him. And he is heading into the investment banking world. Very proud, but he's been helping a lot as well. So, and then our youngest was computer science and finance, and he's in the AI world and helped develop the whole website for Sway. So I think what I'm excited about is really to see the next generation of leadership, and of course, continuing to mentor and work in the business with the family to see where this business will go. And what, we may be in that position to look at other brands and say, let's get that right. And let's grow that and do it the right way if we see potential. So we have our family board of directors meetings and, talk about some of the futuristic things that may come our way, but very excited, I think, for me as a mom, just to see the development, and somehow planned it really well that all their majors and their studies have been such a bonus and plus to our business. So it's been fun.
Well, first of all, congratulations. As someone who is an orphan who grew up without parents, listening to your story about how you've been able to support them with whatever their goals were, it just so happens that some of them have aligned with the things that you're doing with your new businesses. And especially since Sway caters more to that urban, maybe that younger demographic. You're now enlisting that perspective that you and I can't have. I mean, we can read about it, but we didn't live it, right? And so, no offense to, I'm not saying you're old, because you looked at, when you said age group, I'm like, no, you're 30 years younger than me, but whatever. I'll just take you at your word.
Okay.
But I think it's really cool that, that you're able to do that with your family and create real results for the people. And it also helps when a new franchisee is considering working with a brand, right? That, there's so many franchise brands and so many franchise opportunities out there. And we've got listeners of the show that are entrepreneurs. We've got franchisees. We do have private equity group listeners, and we have multi-brand and multi-unit owners who listen to these episodes too. So I think it's really great when I get to showcase a leader in their industry, as well as a leader in just what it means to be successful in business, taking that personal accountability, having that vision, being able to test, listening to your franchisees with feedback loops, not to just change on a dime, but having that feedback loop to make sure. And that's probably where Sway came from, right? Because there was an underserved opportunity, and you were able to say, well, hey, if we do this new concept and create these new products and services, we can add to the family. And then knowing that you have to have certified, practitioners coming up to the school and being able to do it. So it's all in alignment with that. Now, you mentioned something about technology and one of your sons in computer science. How has AI affected? Has it been really disruptive? Are your franchise using it? I'm just curious.
I love AI. I use ChatGPT every single day, multiple times a day. We all do. I find, at the end of the day, no one's ever going to take away human touch, human connection. And I think for our brand in particular, both brands, yes, we have a robotic massage, but we still have hands-on massage, hands-on facials. There's such a need for that connection and caring and communication in the spa industry. So that will never go away. But I also think that there's a really amazing balance of technology to further enhance not only the experience, but just what people are wanting, what people are looking for. So I know there's other things in the pipeline with regards to technology in the spa service sector world that I can't really divulge on, but because I think the investors would have to hurt me if they knew.
And I don't want you to do anything like that. So we're good.
But, again, I would just say there's more to come, but it will never take away the need for human in the spa space. It's just too important to deliver on what we deliver. So, but again, AI, we use it every day in all different capacities, whether it's strategic, marketing, operational. There's just so much knowledge that comes from it. And I'm excited to see where it takes us. It's going to be a disruptor. The iPhone was a disruptor. The microwave was a disruptor. So we all find new ways of doing things and better ways of doing things. And from that also comes more entrepreneurship from what's being presented. So I think it's kind of God's way of just keeping us on our toes and of what's coming next.
So I've been a marketer for years. I was successful in business, and then people started asking me to speak. And then that led to a whole industry. I didn't even realize what a speaker was like 34 years ago when I started. And then since that time, I'm now in the Hall of Fame with people like Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins. I'm not that famous, but famous in my own, there's celebrities and then there's experts. And I'm at the top of the expert field. I hardly call myself a celebrity. I did keynote IFA and CFA, but the Canadian Franchise Association, the International Franchise Association. But what I really wanted to get into, though, is lately in the last 2 years, because I run a digital marketing agency, I've had a lot of clients say that they wanted to leverage AI. And if I have to listen or watch in my inbox, our inboxes, everybody listening, are filled with AI webinars, right? AI masterclasses on something. And so I started doing them 2 years ago. I do one every 60 days. And I'm just going to share a foundation. And it's not a pitch or anything. But what I figured out is two things for CEOs and brands. One, they need to have acceptable use policies that they can give to their franchisees that say, these are the guidelines, these are the do's and don'ts, these are the standards. So I don't know if you've got a acceptable use policy, but that I found was really popular. The other thing that I've been working with brands on is creating their brand style guide for AI, where the company creates the training document that then they give to the franchisees at the local level to create an AI agent, whether you do it in ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude. But that way it uploads the best practices, the do's and don'ts. It has the security settings so that they're not uploading information that they shouldn't into the AI system. And then they're focused on using AI effectively for the repetitive things, whether it's the hiring, the training, the communications, to elevate and save them time. And the book I wrote, which when I wrote the book, people said, well, it's going to be outdated the second you write it. And I'm like, well, wait, I'm going to tell people and share people that it's not losing the human touch. So just while I am an advocate for leveraging AI, I'm the first one to say, look, it's not a replacement. I think what we're going to see here, Allison, is a shift where a lot of companies are going to really go deep into AI, where they want to automate everything to try to cut employees out. But what I'm going to find, I think they're going to do a lot of brand damage, because what I think what's going to happen is the customer's going to revolt and they're going to want that human touch. And so it's just like I said this on a few other episodes, that I don't know about you, but when I call Delta Airlines or American Airlines or hotel, and you get those phone trees, right? Press 1 for English, press 2 for Spanish, press 3 for accounting. And you get caught up in this phone tree. And I love it when a real person actually answers the question. So I think what we're going to see is there's going to be a push towards AI, but the smart brands are going to be very strategic about where do they leverage AI in the customer journey, where does it make sense, and where doesn't it, so that they still maintain that human touch. Now, my wife is a Pilates instructor. She has a training course where she certifies other Pilates instructors, and she's in health and fitness. And so she's got a 5,000 foot, studio and everything. So it's not a small space for a Pilates studio. And, but I've been trying to convince her to have the disconnected retreats where there's no technology, right? Because I think what's going to happen is we're in this, you talked about disruption like the iPhone. I think what AI is going to do is disrupt relationships, human behavior, social consciousness. I'm looking at this because I'm deep in it as an expert being brought in. But I say, you know what? I only care about AI if it's going to help me make better decisions, expand my influence, improve the customer experience, or improve operations. Other than that, I don't think you should just turn everything over to AI. But now that I've kind of laid that all out there on the table, what are some of the things that you're either doing or not doing as it relates to AI with your brands?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about it. I think from a human connection, I always say we live in a world where we're so connected. We have every smart device known to man, yet we're so disconnected.
100%.
Right? We can't have a conversation. We can't debate. We can't have a political stance or religion stance without somebody judging us, without even having a conversation with us. I mean, it's awful what people do. I think it's just absolutely insane. And if you can't have a conversation, then just with somebody, kids are asking, they're breaking up over text. It's like, what happened here? So it's interesting. At Spavia, part of our guest journey is about connection. We have the 3 C's: connecting, caring, and communication. And part of our guest journey is, offering a spa robe, spa sandals. They can put their everyday worries and journey into a locker, lock it up, and sit in a retreat room where they have inspirational readings, aromatherapy neck pillows, teas, waterfall, fireplace, everything to create a space where they can recenter themselves. And we don't believe in magazines. We leave J-Lo and Bieber at the door. It's about recentering yourself and connecting back to self. That through inspirational readings and a space and a spa treatment that's result driven, that we can provide a space that people can connect back to self so that they feel renewed and be a better friend, spouse, parent, whatever it is when they leave. So that human connection will never leave Spavia. It's so integral. We don't believe in cell phones either. There's just so much. We really discourage cell phones in our retreat space because that is where the magic happens. Kind of just touching a little bit on the owner training this morning, I was sharing a story about 14, 15 years in at Park Meadows. I had a member come up and said, Allison, I just want to chat with you and have some coffee. And I thought, But what did I do? I'm in trouble. And we went for coffee, and she said, I just want to tell you that your retreat space is sacred. It has such a soul and such a presence and such a feeling and an energy about it. And I was so taken aback. But then I thought, wow, that's 15 years of people just being in a place where they can collect their thoughts, solve a problem, think nothing at all, engage with a spouse that they hadn't seen in a month, and now they're having a date night at Spavia. Parents, sisters, we call spalabrations. Like, there's so much that happens in retreat rooms. So AI will never, ever take that away from our Spavia guests. Where AI is inherently just a part of our DNA now is, there are marketing ideas that come up, strategic, operational type things that are black and white, where you just need more solutions for something or ideas around something. So that part of problem solving in the AI world, I think, will continue to grow and be amazing. I'm planning my daughter's wedding right now, and I can't tell you how many times I've used ChatGPT for just ideas. Yep. So there's a place for it, and we will continue to grow, we'll continue to evolve, but the human connection and what we do for Spavia guests won't change. The AI can't take that from us.
I think that's amazing. That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's important. And I think, listen, at the end of the day, whoever you are in whatever business, I don't care if it's an entrepreneurial, corporation, private equity, you can never forget your why. And if somebody is coming into your business and says, oh, we can do this for you and invest in whatever, that person coming in can never forget our why. Everything that we do every single day for the last 20 years has been about our why, and it's been about making a positive difference in the world one guest at a time. So no matter who your business is, what you do, why you do it, if you wake up in the morning and you forget why you're doing what you're doing, you need to get back in bed, set the alarm in 5 minutes, and then wake up and do it again and say, okay, I know what I'm doing. So I'm very passionate. You kind of talked about brand standards. I'm kind of a little stickler, maybe too much these days, because as we grow, and part of that, it's a journey, not a race. And with the right intention, profits will follow. It is so vitally important that our owners understand we don't say we have brand standards for the sake of saying it. We say it because it's about integrity. It's about consistency. It's about honoring another franchisee that's following it and telling another owner, you're not doing your job. So it might sound harsh coming from me sometimes, but it's because it's the passion about what I do and what Marty does every day to ensure that these owners that are working really hard thrive and are successful. So you brought up brand standards, and I didn't want to get that to miss anywhere, because brand standards are everything in the business. And I've been a little witch on a broom lately, but we can't continue to grow without our owners adhering to brand standards.
Yeah, I think that's so important. As we wrap up this episode, I'm reminded of an experience I was at. One of the health and fitness companies, to remain nameless, Chuck and Dave, you can probably figure it out. Anytime Fitness and Perspire brand, or not Perspire, but they self-esteem brands, and they just turned into purposeful brands. I think they just changed, and because they bought something else now, so they've grown. And I was doing 7 cities for them, and my presentations are very interactive. I'm not just reading PowerPoint. I'm doing a lot of exercises, and we're having a lot of fun with the franchisees. And one of the franchisees said, "Well, why can't we just put lottery tickets in the lobby, because we're having so much foot traffic, and it's an extra source of revenue?" And I'm like, look, the reason you can't, and everybody in the back room, the CMOs in the back who brought me in, and I'm just, okay, they're waiting for me to drop this ball. But I said, look, the reason you can't do it isn't because they don't want you to make money. They don't want you to be entrepreneurial. But the reason you have brand standards is a system, because if they come in and get a lottery ticket in your location, and then they're traveling and they go into another Anytime Fitness and they can't get their lottery tickets, they're going to think there's something wrong with the brand. I said, there's a reason. It's the same reason why I worked with a lot of the quick quick serve restaurants, QSRs, fast casual, full service dinings. And they always, when their area rep goes in and all of a sudden they do an audit, they have new menu items and they have, a new cooler with energy drinks or something. And it's like, I hear these stories all the time. And I think what's really important, whether you're a franchise brand or not, that you look at your brand standards, you stick to what works. There are reasons to be, open-minded and to look at new opportunities, but there are proper sources for that. And the other thing is, a lot of times the new franchisee, and I know that this is really important when you're vetting a new franchisee, you want someone who's really passionate about the product and who's coachable, because sometimes if they come in with all this experience, they end up trying to reinvent the wheel. I have it all the time where I do the pre-event calls before I'm doing a keynote, and I interview the heroes and some, I won't call them zeros, but some of the ones that are struggling. And sometimes there's people who've been in the system for 20 years, they've done things a certain way, but things are shifting and they're resistant to change their signage, change their front, add new menu items, do social because they never had to. And I think that's really important, that brand standards, right?
Yeah, we have remodels. We also do mystery shopping. And so they are graded. And that is something that has really helped us. We can't be everywhere all the time. And so the mystery shopping has really helped identify where the needs are. We have remodels going on right now. So there's a whole lot that goes to the brand standards, but there are tools that we can use to help support and make sure that people are aligned and stay in that place. So,
well, any closing thoughts you have for our listeners today?
Wow. Gosh, not really. I would say it's been really an amazing journey for us. Again, to think that we're in our 20th year and have the involvement with our kids, and just, we have amazing franchisees. It really is truly, well, I will say one more thing. Core values are very important.
Yes.
When you're looking for a franchisee, and when we look at franchisees, we've said no because it didn't align with our core values. And when your core values align with other franchisees, collectively as a team, the success of the business is so much greater because you align. So I think as entrepreneurs, as they're partnering with vendors or other people or starting a franchise, know what your core values are and look for those within your potential partners, because they will make or break you.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on this episode in your busy day with all the things that you're working on. And so everybody, thanks for tuning in to Fordify Live, where we're all about accelerating your business growth. Until next time, keep innovating, keep growing, and keep fortifying your success.
Thank you for tuning in to Fordify Live. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the Business Growth Show podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. We air weekly at 11 a.m. Central Time. So until next week, keep pushing the boundaries and never stop growing.